we have 3 public hearings that we need to do at the start of the meeting. I am hoping that we can get through these, if possible, in the first hour of the meeting. So that's going to be our goal. So let's see if we can do that before we turn to the Col Russo work. First up in our public hearings, we have 716, 718 Union Street. This is 2 site plan applications from the owner of the properties for the purpose of renovating the parcel into a microbrewery and tap room. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
All right, thank you, Teresa. A second?
I'll second.
Second, John, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Christina or Paul O'Donnell, who is going to lead the presentation from your team?
Let me kick off, and my wife is here too, Emma. Just briefly introduce the project, and then we'll hand it over to Christina. So I think, as we said at the other meeting, our vision here is there's a property at 767 718 Union Street. There is the warehouse and an adjacent empty lot. The plan is to turn that into a microbrewery, a couple of thousand square feet of on-site production space. The rest of the space is either customer tap room or in kitchen, bathrooms, etc., opening out onto the adjacent lot. You'll see pictures of that as a beer garden available for when weather permits. They have parking spaces down on Union Street. We will have an entry on Cherry Alley, and after the feedback from the last meeting, we'll also put in stairs, so there'll be an entrance from up to the beer garden from Union Street, and then from there access to the tap room. So the space will be accessible from either end, which I think was an excellent suggestion. Let me hand over to Emma to continue.
Right. So as we mentioned to you last time, we are planning to open Thursdays through Sunday at the beginning of our operations, perhaps in the first year, and we'll be open from, let's say, 12 noon to 10 p.m. or so. As the business grows, we will be open maybe from 12 noon to 10 or 11 p.m. As Paul mentioned, the garden will be, for use when weather permitting. Our space is really a place to, enjoy beer and drinks with family and friends. It will be pet and kid friendly. And our goal is to really restore what is now a fairly forlorn looking site into, a lovely space, and also preserve greenery and create parking. In addition, we will be employing about 10 staff in the brewery, about 3 on the brewery side, and then the rest in the tap room and kitchen. And that's it. We really want to be good neighbors to everybody, observe all noise ordinances, etc. And that's about it. Let's turn it over to Christina so she can show us the plans.
Great. Stephen, is it okay if I share screen?
You do. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what we have here is the existing conditions today. These are photos of various angles from the street. This is Cherry Alley here in photo 1 and photo 2. Photo 3 shows the existing empty lot adjacent to the structure. The photos on the bottom row are from Union Street. And this is a rendering from the Cherry Alley side, showing the new entrance, the barn doors into the brewery area, a new fence. There's some lighting here, which you can see turned on in the night view that we're adding along the fence, along the building. This is another view from the alley in day and night. This is again the entrance. This structure down here is the fencing around the dumpsters. This is the view from Union Street during the day and during the night. You can see peeking out down here, this is the staircase that we added, which you'll see in another view in a second. Parking down here on this area next to the existing retaining wall. These are new storefront areas that we're creating along that facade. And then these upper windows here are looking into the brewery space. This is a view showing the new staircase. You can see we added the staircase, which fits nicely, shifting over the parking just a little bit. And that will allow pedestrians from Union Street to be able to come up and in to the garden, which is the way to enter the main tap room space in here. So this is a view again during the night. You can see the lighting that we're adding on the two retail storefronts on the upper facade of the building to cast that in a little bit of light, lighting along the parking area. And this is a view from the garden area. We'll have more details in a couple of slides on the plantings. But the idea is to have tables and chairs spaced apart with plantings in between. There's a fire pit here in the center. I guess is the view in night with some lighting throughout the garden space. This is existing site plan. So just to orient you, this is Union Street on the bottom. This is Cherry Alley along the top. This is the building and the empty lot and the area which will turn into parking. This is a proposed site plan with the parking added and the garden area with tables and chairs. Again, the entrance from Cherry Alley on this side, the added staircase, secondary entrance along this side, and then the future retail entrance on the bottom. This is a new rendering which we added since we met with you last month. It's the rendering of what the landscaping will look like. And we have various plantings around here. We have boxwood shrubs. We have hydrangeas, ferns, ornamental grass, dogwood, which is these white trees. And we have ivy that will spill over the wall to soften that wall from the Union Street view. This diagram shows the lighting that we're adding. Again, on Cherry Alley, we have lights that are lighting up the main facade on that side, matching lights on Union, lighting on the stair, on the parking, throughout the garden space, along the building facade, here on the garden side, and along the gate up at the top. And then we have the two-dimensional elevations, which just give a little more information on the siding that's proposed, painted wood fiber, board and batten siding, wood fencing. I don't think I mentioned yet, we have an electric car charger that's proposed in the parking area. This elevation shows the retail storefronts that are proposed on the bottom and the general overhaul to the facade on all sides. And then this slide just shows the detail of the dumpster enclosure and the signage, which has shaded dark sky approved fixture light that would light both of the proposed signs. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, are there questions from the board before we open up for public comment?
I had a quick question, and it's really minor. The plan looks great. My one question was the fire pit in the garden. Has Craig seen that? I know that residential open fires are illegal in Hudson. I don't know about a business's open fire, but you might want to check with Craig before you proceed with that one.
Yeah, we'll certainly be reviewing with Craig. I think, Emma, Paul, do you want to comment? I think did we have in mind propane, like a propane fire?
Yeah, so we are very flexible about the fire pit concept. It can be just even an ethanol fire, just to provide some ambiance. Definitely, we don't want to pollute the environment.
And we'll check on the fire code. That's a good point.
There's some restaurants that have heaters out in their gardens, in their outdoor seating. So some kind of fuel is probably permissible, but I'm sure you'll check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure it's to code.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that you will not have any amplified music outside or amplified music when you have your doors open that reach to the outside.
We addressed this question at our first meeting, but I
just don't remember
you about it again. We may have some amplified music outside, but it will be respectful and it will be within the noise ordinance guidelines.
Well, somebody remind me, what are the guidelines? When does amplified music have to end outside or with doors open?
11 p.m. Is that our understanding is 11 p.m.
And after 11 p.m. we would close the tap room doors if we still have service inside, so that music is not heard outside.
Also, can you remind us of your operation hours? I know some stuff's been gone through before, but just
I mean, it's difficult to know exactly forever. Our intention is that we would start sort of noon to 8 p.m. on Thursdays, probably noon to 10 on Friday and Saturday. We would expect to be open, for argument's sake, noon through to 11 p.m. 7 days a week if the business is successful. That's the expectation.
So we can count on you being open till 11 p.m. at some point down the road, which means your hours right now would be noon to 11.
That would be our intention, yes.
Right.
I doubt that. I doubt that the nightlife in Hudson is noon to 11, 7 days a week, but yeah, Friday and Saturday night probably.
Laura, I'm just looking at the noise ordinance. I mean, just for your information, I guess it's between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. It's 55 decibels for residential, and then between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day, 55 decibels for commercial. So essentially, I mean, they'd have to be complying with those decibel levels.
It's 10 p.m. is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
All right. Members of the public, would anyone like to make a comment for this application? Just raise your hand and then I can call on you. All right. Anyone here for this? Okay. Board, I guess any final questions, or do we want to talk about are there any conditions that we're considering for this application? Or do we want to look at a resolution? Where are you all at?
I'm ready to look at a resolution and they're going to comply with codes. And my concern is the noise outside, you know, so, but otherwise, I think we're ready for a resolution.
Oh
And
my. Steve.
And also, sorry, I also just wanted to add in that we did receive HPC approval. So I think that happened between, you know, since the last meeting. So they were very positive about the project.
Great, thank you. All right, can you stop sharing your screen for a moment, Christina? 'Cause I'm going to pull up.
Sure.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All right, Jean, thank you. Second. Larry, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let me pull up this resolution. One sec.
Ooh.
What are you all seeing right now?
We're seeing part of a resolution for,
Okay, sorry, I've got too many things.
7/16/2018.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's just read through quickly. Whereas the applicant, SVE Ventures LLC, Carol Paul and O'Donnell, has applied to the Hudson Planning Board for site plan approval for the properties located at 716 and 718 Union Street in the Central Commercial Zoning District, comprising the following block lots. Hudson Planning Board considered the application its means on August 10th and September 23rd. Duly noticed public hearing was held on September 23rd, during which all who wished to speak were heard. The project is type 2 action under seeker, requires planning board approval. We've reviewed the criteria for site plan approval. Now, actually, Christina, is the site plan we just reviewed dated July 30th, or is this an updated site plan?
Hold on one second. Let me check. It is dated, revision date, 9/3.
Thank you. All right, so Hudson Planning Board hereby grants site plan approval as presented on the site plan dated December 3rd, 2021, and finds that the project satisfies the site plan approval criteria set forth in section 325-35H of the zoning code. It sounds like we don't have any conditions to put on here. So, sorry, I just need, we have a motion to approve resolution.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
As Larry and Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks very much, folks.
Yeah.
So we will file this with the city clerk tomorrow, and I can get you a stamped copy. Christina, can you send me the updated site plan? I don't know if I have that actually.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, folks.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. We look forward to this project.
good luck.
So do we.
We look forward to coming there.
Teresa, they added the stairs you asked for.
What'd you
What?
say?
They added the stairs you asked for. I just wanted
Yeah, I know. Larry said it was nice, so I agree with it.
All right, so next up, we've got 427 Warren Street, site plan application from the owner to construct a 14-foot high, one-floor addition to an existing single-story building for the purpose of retail space. The property is in the CC Central Commercial Zoning District and is a permitted use. Proposal will need approval from HBC as well. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Second.
Jane,
Jean, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Christina, back to you once again. Similarly, can you just give us a quick overview? I know we looked at this back in October, but
I'll do it. I'll go through it real quick. So let me just share. Okay, so this is the structure, the currently occupied by Finch. This is existing photos of it today. This is the side yard today. The proposal is to add a second story to part of the building, the front part, and to continue the fenestration onto the second floor. This is a view at night. View from the side, day and night. And I'll just go back to day for a second. The materials on the front will match existing. The side of the building is painted a dark color. It is currently cement block. We would be constructing a wood frame addition on the second floor, and we would use a clapboard siding painted the same color as the lower story. Windows would match. It's a view at night. View of the side again, day and night. This is the site plan. So you can see the second floor that's proposed isn't quite the footprint of the building. It's about 2/3 of it. And this is the proposed existing and proposed elevation drawings and side view of those drawings. This was also approved by HPC. And are there any questions?
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, board, any questions before we take public comment?
I had a question about the segment of the roof that is not the second floor. Is that in any way accessible from the addition, whether, you know, as an area of refuge or as a means of egress or as an amenity to the retail space, or is the roof space entirely closed off from the addition?
It's entirely closed off. It's going to be used for the mechanical equipment. So so no, it would not be a roof deck or anything like that.
Any other questions from the board? All right.
Can I just go back to that last question? The roof in the back is a flat roof and it's going to be used for mechanicals. Will there be access to it from the alley or the side for maintenance or things of that sort?
Yeah, for maintenance, they can get up there, you know, fairly easily with a ladder. You know, it's only one story. And that is the current location of the mechanical equipment is on that roof. It's actually located on a little closer to the front of the building, kind of just smack in the middle of the building, actually. So we're just going to relocate that mechanical equipment a little farther back to be able to construct the second story.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, are there members of the public who would like to comment on this application? I'm just going to focus a moment in case they're struggling with Zoom. All right. It looks like we don't have any public comment on this. All right, board, I guess, first of all, do we want to have a motion to close the public hearing?
Oh, so moved.
Thank you, Clark. Second. Anybody second?
Oh, second it.
Thank you, Gene. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Unless there are any other questions, let's, Christina, can you stop sharing? We can look at a resolution for this one as well. All right. Christina, do I have the applicant's name correct on here? Stephen Maddock?
That is correct.
Same form resolution, folks. Applicant Stephen Maddock is applied to the planning board for site plan approval for the property, 427 Warren Street, CC Central Commercial Zoning District. We considered the application at our meetings on August 10th, and September 23rd. Public hearing was held this evening where all who wish to speak were heard. It's a type 2 action under seeker. Okay, sorry, Christina, is the site plan updated since July 30th?
Hold on one sec. Let me check that real quick for you. No, that is the correct date.
Okay, thank you. All right, therefore be it resolved that the Hudson Planning Board hereby grants site plan approval is presented on the site plan dated 30th and finds the project satisfies the site plan approval criteria set forth in 325-35H. Are there any conditions that the board wants to discuss, or does this look okay as is?
It looks good.
All right. All right. Hold on one sec. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Larry, second.
I'll second.
Clark, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so Christina, we'll be in touch over email, just coordinate getting the stamps and everything.
Sounds good. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
All right. Moving along here. Next up is 26 Warren Street, site plan approval for change of occupancy from R3 to R1, change in the use from a single family residence being used as a bed and breakfast to a hotel. The property is in the Central Commercial Zoning District and is a permitted use. All right, is the applicant here? Doug, I see you.
Yes.
How
How are
are hey, how are you?
Good.
Okay, Doug, can you provide again a quick kind of overview of the plans here?
Yes, can I share my?
Let's get a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Gene. Second, Teresa. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, Doug. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Can I share my screen?
Yep, please do.
So as Stephen mentioned, this project is at 26 Warren. It's near the corner of First and Warren Street, with the building located here. There are no planned changes to the footprint of the building. All of the modifications are going to be interior, with the exception of a proposed ramp along the western edge to provide handicap accessibility to a rear room in the existing structure. I have.
Can I ask a quick question about that ramp? Does that in any way go over the property line, or is that completely contained in the?
It is. You can see the property line here. It is completely contained, and there's actually access to the rear yard alongside the building here along this fence line.
Okay, thank you.
And I think at the last meeting, it was suggested I include a few photos here just so that you guys are familiar with the existing conditions. Again, no planned modifications to the exterior. There may be a couple of window replacements that need to be done just as a part of the normal course of maintenance. But no significant modifications to the footprint are going to take place. And I believe at the last meeting, a question came up about operations. It's planned for this to be a self check-in, check-out type of operation, so that the renters of the rooms will be provided a key code access to enter and to leave, to check out, and the owner of the building also has another business in town and plans to have the manager of that establishment also manage this so that if there's any issues that come up, that they're able to with tenants or neighbors, that they have somebody that they're able to call and reach in case of any issues.
So if there's a problem in the building, then one is relying on either the other people who are renting rooms or the neighbors to call the police?
I suppose, yes, if they had, I think, there's, yes, yeah.
I have a question. It's going to be 6 rooms, right?
And
There's currently 5 rooms and it was going to be expanded to 10 rooms.
Oh, to 10.
Yeah.
And what is this being used now as a B&B, right?
Correct.
And it has 5 rooms, right?
Yes.
But the owner doesn't live there. Does the owner live there now currently?
The owner has a space for himself in here, but he is not a full-time resident.
Okay, because I was just trying to figure out, Larry, maybe you can answer this. Hotels are just 10, you can be a hotel with just 10 rooms? My question is, can you be a hotel with, what's happening here is, what it appears to be, in my opinion, is that because he's not living here in this building, he's going from a B&B to a hotel because of the new B&B law. So can you be a hotel with only 10 rooms?
The threshold for that legal definition is anything over 5 rooms. So,
Okay, because I meant to look it up. I just didn't get a chance to.
oh, yeah, anytime you go over five guest rooms, you're changing your occupancy from an R3, which it currently is, to an R1, which is the proposed. And that's the reason why we're here today, is because we need the planning board's approval to make that modification in occupancy.
I have to look that up. I mean, is there anything else you need? Nothing else? People could check into a hotel by themselves? I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to one like that.
There are certainly going to be other building code requirements that are going to be needed, like sprinklers and things like that we plan to provide. But from a planning board standpoint, why we're here today is just to get your approval on the increase in the amount of rooms. And then all the other requirements will have to be met through the building departments and through HPC approvals.
will each room have its own bathroom?
Yes,
Full bathroom?
yes.
Do you know the size? I mean, approximately?
They vary in size. There's 5 existing bathrooms there now that are of different sizes, but
No,
typically
the rooms, like a range, yeah.
the room sizes they're all going to be able to handle a king size bed. So a king size bed, and the bathrooms are going to be about 5 by 9 at the smallest.
And if there's a problem, then we're just relying on people to call the police. I see, okay.
Not. Yeah, or not call the police, just leave.
I have a couple questions. One is relative to the security issue. Is there a plan for security cameras? I mean, it does seem maybe a bit problematic that there's 10 rooms with occupants, maybe more than 10 occupants, and a patio, et cetera, with no actual plan for security.
I believe there is currently a camera mounted at the front door. But we have not discussed the full extent of security, but I believe that the intention is for the owner to be able to have his manager see what's happening at the property in the public spaces.
In the pub, and so how many, you talk about the public spaces, the interior.
Correct. Interior and front door and then this patio area in the rear.
And so in the interior public space, what is that? Just like a sitting room of some sort, or?
It's the shared, there's going to be like a shared kitchenette inside of it that will offer, the sink, waters, light snacks, a corridor, the stairways. And there's a small entryway foyer when you walk in the front door.
And then is there any lighting plan for the exterior shared space or the front of the building?
Not beyond what is currently there, which I believe is just a, I think he has a couple of fixtures that are up. You can't quite see them here. Just some general illumination on the corners of the building.
Well, that would be nice to know what that is specifically, but how about in the back patio? If people are out there at night, is there any plan for lighting out there?
Well, they have a few, you can see in the photos here, there's a couple of string lights that are currently there. And then we plan to meet code with lights at the exterior doors as required.
And do you have drawings of your lighting plan for the front and the back?
Not currently, no.
And do you have a written security plan of some sort?
Not currently, we do not.
Okay, thank you.
Doug, can you, I think I understand the orientation of the back patio. In terms of how the neighbors will be impacted by the change in occupancy, is there fencing between each lot here, or?
Yeah, there I guess you can see. So here along this, there's fencing on all sides right now, except with the exception of where the building is. But a fence runs continuously in that north-south direction, picking up off the rear here, around the back, and then up the side here. This was the side door where the ramp is going to go in, and so there's fencing along all sides of the rear yard. So from this point of the building here, across here, and then coming back all the way to the Warren Street elevation.
And is that the owner's fencing, or is that the neighbor's fencing?
I believe.
I think it's the neighbors.
I believe it's the neighbors in a few of those cases, because it changes appearance in a few of these locations.
Yeah.
But we were not planning to make any modifications to the fence.
I have a question about the ramp along the west side of the building. It looks like, can you bring the picture? Yeah.
Go back to the picture.
Yeah. Looks like there's AC units along the pathway there. Are those going to be relocated as part of the ramp construction, or is the ramp going to sort of thread that needle,
It's gonna thread that needle. Yeah.
right?
Could you explain to me, Larry, what thread that needle means?
Well, there's that tight little opening between the air conditioning units on the left and the brick wall on the right. It's a narrow space to run a handicap ramp.
Right, so they're gonna keep the air conditioning units there and yet put a ramp? I just don't know what you mean by, so it's solved by threading the needle. I just don't know what that means.
It just means you're going through a tight spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, is there, can you confirm there's space in there to have an ADA accessible ramp installed in that tight space?
Yeah, there is between the wall and this, and these stairs will be replaced by that ramp. So.
And do you have a drawing of this ramp as it also pertains to the AC units whose needle is being thread? I mean, is there a drawing of all this?
We have the proposed ramp here, shown here on the map. It's going to need some additional detailing and review, because again, we before we get too far with all of the kind of details of the drawing, we wanted to come to the board and get approved for this change in occupancy. So
then you plan to come back to us? You plan to come back to the board with more details like security, lighting, fencing, the AC units and the ramp?
If so requested, yes, I think we would like, based on complying with all those things, to have your conditional approval to get, to have the increase in rooms and then demonstrate those components and meet your requirements, because we still have to go to the HPC and review these changes with them. So.
Can I just, back here for a second? Look at, I think there's maybe a little confusion on what we're doing here. Frankly, maybe I'm confused until I read what, in fact, C on our agenda is 26 Warren Street, site plan approval for change of occupancy. So we're not just doing change of occupancy, we're doing site plan approval, which it seems the code requires for this change of occupancy. So maybe it's a little bit of a chicken or egg problem here that get your approval for the change of occupancy, we need a fully detailed site plan. And it seems like there's quite a few details that I guess you were expecting to do after the fact, but clearly the code says site plan approval for change of occupancy per agenda.
Great catch, Clark.
So anyway, it seems to me you should be coming back and maybe you can list the stuff you need to do, including details of your ramp, including security plans, including lighting plans, whether it exists or not. I mean, it's a site plan approval. So
I think we probably we could make a condition for conditional approval if we could see the lighting plan and I think other elements of the site plan that we feel like are missing, maybe around the ramp with additional detail. I don't know if we can condition the security plan necessarily. If is under purview, but we could look at making those conditions.
But we're also dealing with fencing that in part is being relied on by the applicant, but actually is owned by the neighbors. I mean, I think that needs to be clearer. Okay. And also, we've already called this as a public hearing, so I think at the least we probably have to hear the public, but I agree with Clark. This seems premature to approve as a site plan.
I would also
we haven't taken public comment yet, so that's certainly the next up.
I also think, Steve, if I may, our job overall is health, safety, and welfare, as I understand it, of the citizens of City of Hudson. And I would argue that security, especially if you don't have staff there, falls under that category. I mean, I don't know if we can twist arms to put cameras in specific locations, but it seems like we should have more information on how we're planning on keeping this space secure.
would be nice to have a lawyer available to us for.
I mean, it's a question we can ask, you know.
Later.
I know, it's something it would be very nice to ask in real time rather than
Yeah, I know.
all this back and forth.
Not where we are.
We have a hand up from Phil Foreman. Can we open up for public comment now?
Open.
Yes.
All right, Philip.
Hey, hi all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good to see you this evening. And Doug, thank you for the presentation. I can clarify some bits of the questions that came up. The long fence parallel that separates the property is my fence. I'm not aware of any part of that fence that that belongs to 26 Warren. I've had, I guess, 14 years living next door through different kinds of ownership and different kinds of or levels of engagement and property management. My dream when I bought our house was that we would have a neighborhood and neighbors. And we did. It actually is a little neighborhood with ourselves. When David Brown was there, Whitney and Steve, folks across the street, where we keep an eye on one another, help with snow shoveling, advise one another when we went to bed too early and left our car on the wrong side of the street, and a lot more than that. I have a micro concern, which is being neighbor to an untended, unmanaged hotel, and a macro concern for the city of Hudson, where the economics of the new world that we're in are such that with all money and folks coming in from all over the place, that we run the risk becoming a city of strangers. That the sense of neighbor and neighborliness, which in itself can be fairly fragile, starts to get lost. When David was there by himself, and it was a single family house, that was kind of a very good period for sharing and communication and keeping an eye on one another, and it felt quite safe. David transitioned to a B&B, but lived there and was always accessible. We had the opportunity to talk pleasantly, but we also had the opportunity to yell at one another, which is totally appropriate for neighbors to do from time to time. When the new owners came in, it was unclear who was in charge. Although I've had contact with them, and they were at all times courteous and tried to be responsive, there's no way that they were my neighbors. They didn't shovel snow. They didn't look out for me. They put their garbage out on Warren Street and continue to do, because there was a flaw in the subdivision that gave them no access to Prison Alley. So you have one of the grand 18th century, early 19th century houses in Hudson with garbage cans in front and an entryway with garbage in it. But the more important point is, I think that it is not just for me, but for Hudson in general, a unsafe idea to have a 10-room hotel with no person there, because that person, from the point of view of the next door neighbor, becomes the safe ground, becomes the one to complain to. The juxtaposition of the houses is kind of interesting. 26 Warren is on much higher ground. than my house because it's flush to the sidewalk. My house is set back. So what we have is a situation where the porches on 26 Warren in the back that are more or less identical to the porches in my house, but they dominate the property because they're up much higher. My experience with unsupervised is that people come to town for a wedding, for a social event, for a distraction, for fun, and that's a great thing. But in the process of all of that, they're often unconscious that they're actual people. We're like, Paul and I are like mannequins in their play. They look down and say, you know, look at the cute people with the dog and stuff. Oh my God, they do their own gardening and spend an enormous unconscionable amount of time shouting into cell phones and conducting business off the porch. The neighborhood has always been noisy, and I don't mind that. I don't mind the music or any of that stuff, or kids playing or dogs barking. I do mind people observing me from above in large numbers yelling into their phones. And I do mind the fact that at the times when I've had to reach out to somebody, there is nobody.
Mr. Foreman, just quickly, I should have said this at the start, but we do try and limit public comments to 3 minutes. Can you wrap up?
I'm done. I apologize. It happens in my meetings too, and I have exactly the same response you did, Stephen, and I totally apologize.
I'm sorry to cut you off. We completely appreciate your comment, so thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to comment on this application?
Stephen, now that I've stopped speaking, can I make one more comment? I thought there was a state law that required a person in attendance for a 10-room hotel property.
To tell you the truth, I don't know about that, but I think that we should, well, first of all, I guess for the board, I mean, where do we feel like we are on this application? I mean, it feels like we are looking for more details and information on the site plan, including lighting, a better depiction of the ramp. And I think to, Clark's point as well, we should just understand what our jurisdiction is around, the security here, because I think it's a good point that it very well is maybe within our purview to ask that question. So I suppose, what we could consider is either looking at a resolution with conditions on it or continuing the public hearing into next month and requesting additional information.
I would like to continue the public hearing and request additional information. I mean, I want to look at what will this do, just like the gentleman said. I think it's an underlying issue here that I need more time to look up. A 10-room unoccupied hotel, that's now it is a 5-room occupied B&B going to a 10-room unoccupied hotel. I want to look at the rule. I want to know if that's possible. I want to know a lot more before I even put conditions or anything. And that's my opinion.
I agree with Teresa, and I just think it's too early. I just want to go over just what's been talked about in broad form. Security is important, and understanding how this will work. The lighting, exterior wise, the fencing, how the fact that at least on one side the fencing does not belong to the applicant, but yet they're relying on it, and what's going on with the fencing on the other side. I think that we need some more specific drawings, by the way, of lighting in the front as well as in the back, and what's the plan for back there. Drawings of the AC units as the ramp as it relates to the AC units. Phil brought this up. I think we need to understand the garbage plan. I wasn't aware that they have nothing, no space in the back for garbage. And so what's the plan here? And who takes the garbage out? I mean, I assume there's some kind of a cleaning service that comes through, but really what's going on there? I'd like to make sure that there's no amplified music outside. I mean, again, there's nobody except for the police to call if there is, but if there is amplified music, you know, we need some guy to know what time that will stop and who's going to make sure that that stops. And then, you know, Phil brought up state law, and we need some guidance from one of our city attorneys about what the state law is.
Yeah, I totally agree with Laura and Teresa's comments. And, you know, look, we have no interest in regulating how a business performs. On the other hand, 10 rooms is the perfect size for, say, a bachelor party, a wedding party weekend, a reality TV show on MTV. You know, you could have 10 rooms taken over by a single tenant, and there's no check on the amount of revelry and you know, noise, exuberance that goes on in a property that is unattended. And, you know, it's sort of the sweet spot where it's enough for people familiar with each other, but not big enough to actually provide for institutional safeguards for the neighbors.
I want to add that as well. And again, I think it's useful to look at this as a site plan review, like any other site plan review. If a business were coming in as a new hotel, which is in fact what it is, we would be asking for outdoor seating plan, hours, lighting, hours of operation. I probably already mentioned that. No, you know, like guaranteed no or limited amplified music, etc. So this is going to be a hotel in the middle of a residential neighborhood, which I guess I'm now convinced is much different than a B&B. And you know, it's a site plan review, so we need all the details of a site plan review.
I think that it's unfair for us, for the applicant. Well, I think it's unfair for anyone to think of Hudson's wonderful police force as their security, because that's what this comes down to. If there's a problem, the only option is to call the police. And geez, that there's something amiss about it. It just doesn't ring well to me.
All right, so I think there's a lot more information we're looking for. I think for now, I guess we need a motion to extend the public hearing to our October meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for October 14th. Can I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move.
Larry, second, Laura. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Doug, I think you've got a good list here from the additional information we're looking for. There's also things that we need to check in with the city attorney's office about, which I'm happy to take the lead on. So we can be in touch about getting answers to some of these questions and making sure that when you come back, that you got everything that you need, basically. I would also just ask, I mean, I think, you know, an overall probably project narrative would be useful too, that can speak to a number of these things that that the board is asking about. So we'll be in touch, and we will see you next month.
All right, appreciate everyone's time and feedback.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Okay, 6:59. We've achieved our goal so far. We have one small, just sort of procedural piece of business here. I'm going to pull up a resolution. Hang on one second. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so basically, we reviewed an application for 7 Fairview Avenue in 2020. This was to essentially God, I'm sorry, I had this pulled up, to convert a gallery space. Hang on one second. This site plan was approved actually years ago. The applicant had to come back to us in 2020, which I think was in November, and changing the initial plans for the second floor from a gallery space into a one-bedroom apartment. So we reviewed and approved that application, but it wasn't filed with the city clerk. So because it wasn't filed within, I think, 60 days of the approval, we need a new resolution granting approval again, basically. So does anyone have any
Steve, this
questions?
is the,
Yeah.
Steve, this is the project next to the American Legion post?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember this guy.
yeah. They're doing an apartment upstairs or the whole thing?
Basically, they were changing one element of their already approved site plan, which was just that they were going to have a gallery space on their second floor, and they wanted to change it to a one-bedroom apartment. So that was what we approved. So we had approved the site plan, I think, in maybe as early as like 2017 or 2018. They came back just for that one change of the site plan, and that's what we approved in 2020. So essentially, this isn't to revisit the review, but rather just to have a resolution so that we can file this properly with the city clerk. So let me just go through this quickly. For 7 Fairview Avenue, was the applicant, Neil Cologne Architecture PLLC, has applied to the Hudson Planning Board for site plan amendment for the property located at 7 Fairview Avenue in the R2H zoning district comprising tax plot lot, et cetera, whereas the Hudson Planning Board considered the application at its meeting on November 10th, 2020, that's right. The public hearing was waived, and the project is a type 2 action pursuant to seeker. The project requires our approval, whereas the Hudson Planning Board at its November 10th, 2020 meeting, reviewed the criteria for site plan approval set forth in 325-35 and unanimously voted to approve the site plan. Whereas the former planning board chairperson, who's on the call, hey Betsy, did not file the approval resolution with the city clerk as required by section 325-35H4 of the zoning code. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hudson Planning Board hereby reiterates its previous action and grants approval on the amendments to site plan as presented on the Hudson Planning Board application dated October 29th, 2020. It finds that the project satisfies the site plan approval criteria set forth in the zoning code. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, Larry, second.
Jean.
Teresa,
Jean.
thank you.
No, Jean.
Jean. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, folks. Okay, that is done.
All right, that's good.
Oh.
Wow, we're doing great.
Okay, moving on. Okay, so we are moving on to 175 South Front Street, conditional use permit applications and site plans from Akal Russo and Son Incorporated for road improvements and commercial dock operations. All right, Victoria, do we want to start this with a quick executive session as we had discussed?
Yes, if the board wants to do that, we would need a motion to go into an attorney-client session for advice of counsel.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Shaheem, can you give us a breakout room, please?
Okay, so the room should be open. You can join now. Do you guys see the breakout room available? Or-
Mm.
We're gonna have to try again. I got a message to join, but then came back to the main room.
Uh,
All right, sorry for the delay, folks. We are working on our breakout room.
Shaheem, is there a waiting room? Can we just send everyone back to the waiting room instead?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm not sure what's going on with the breakouts.
Okay, I
All
think
right.
that's everyone.
All right. Now I'll take